So in terms of hybrid events, one thing that we realized is that we need to keep the conversation going. 2020 was a very difficult year. We had to restart, rethink, restructure how we do things. And a lot of these digital platforms came into existence, and we explored a lot of these platforms. And what we've seen is that from the digital, rather from the virtual events, the conversation is continuing. And this year alone, we hosted 3 successful events. And that was a great opportunity for companies that hadn't engaged in the past 2 years to meet and to come up with ideas. And what I saw from the last conference, there were some companies who actually, said, let's collaborate. I've got these new ideas. I've got this new technology. And it's because of that face-to-face interaction. Digitally, it's difficult to strike deals or have meaningful engagement via the platform. And that's why we still value face-to-face interaction.
So whenever we're planning a meeting, etc., obviously all COVID-19 protocols will be in place, okay? So far, the role of vaccines, etc., is being debated, but we encourage everyone who's coming to the meetings to make sure that they have been vaccinated, etc. Then to mitigate risk, etc., what we are trying to do is, in the room size, etc., we limit the number of delegates that are present so that the capacity can hold, the number of delegates that will be attending as opposed to those doing it online. And then the other thing is that whenever we're having conference, etc., we try and look at the local facilities and see that the environment itself is clean, and make sure that everything is in place so that delegates attending are not at risk.
It's important for any of our partners to understand what are the issues we're grappling with, what are the issues that are top of mind for your association clients, so that you can actually better partner with them for success no matter where you sit in that value chain. So let me just first briefly describe what we tried to do, get into the results from 2020, and then fast forward to 2021. But one of the key questions for our partners on this call is what has really changed, and is everything still relevant?
As we navigate through this pandemic, obviously starting in 2020, and not knowing, as you mentioned, we all thought it was going to be a year and then move on. And now we're sitting in 2021 in December and still navigating through it, still learning, still adapting, still changing. So those 4 pillars would definitely be relevant. But within every organization, each country, you would adapt and change and be flexible in whatever way suits the client's needs or your need to move your business forward, if that makes sense. So it's definitely relevant, and I foresee it being relevant at least for the next year or so, without a doubt.
I think if I were to give one example, we, I think as Africa, needs to start thinking locally and act globally. And this is where we look at being innovative, because I think, we used to think we need to think globally and act locally. So yes, they're still relevant. Thank you.
The digital platforms were not used very well before, but we invited Craig Telly, who spoke earlier at our meeting here, to meet with the board in Bangalore in India and advise them on how best to improve their visibility, how to generate revenue. Although it's a non-for-profit organization, you still have to pay for the basics, the travel of the executive, starting up meetings and so on. So we then got interested in digitalization of our operations. Association has found that if we issue our bulletins digitally, people read them, they send comments, and they appreciate that. Membership for us has increased, on the digital platform. Because of COVID, we didn't lose out on a new membership. What we've lost out on, which is something that we hope to go back onto. It's more face-to-face meetings. We've accepted that until there's some certainty with COVID-19 and the behavior of the new mutations, we'll have mainly hybrid meetings with more people joining virtually, but fewer people on site, for face-to-face meetings. We think that's very, very important because the face-to-face meetings enable us to strike better deals, to get to know each other better over a cup of tea, over a meal. And also we see the venue or the place where the meeting is hosted. I think that's important.